After the disastrous, disgusting and useless Most Wanted in 2012, the money-sucking corporation realized that it is necessary to increase the development period to at least 2 years, rewind black box, and of course not. If one studio screwed up with the game, then the problem is in the studio, despite the fact that they used to make normal games, and therefore Criterion go to hell and new studio Ghost Games is created. The first game of which, just the same, was the illegitimate son of Hot Pursuit and Most Wanted, Need for Speed Rivals. The newly created studio was too afraid to hit the dirt on navel and therefore tried very hard to make a cool game by accepting any help from Criterion that they could. Whether they succeeded in doing this or not, we will now see in this video. This time some kind of story was brought into the game. Very conditional and very crooked, but still many times better than the shit that was in Most Wanted 2012. And for the fact that they at least tried to make at least some kind of the story, unlike Criterion, who told to the plot in their game, developers from Ghost Games, as for me, is worth commending. In the future they will only do better, but as for a first game, it's quite good.
We are the law.
I am the law!
I am not you. I am the life you're too scared to live.
This is now, if someone does not understand, there is off-screen dialogue consisting of speeches by two main characters who are an invisible bodily creature that always broadcast somewhere behind the scenes and always broadcast pathos phrases, each of which voiced as if for a trailer, and some would easily fit in Vin Diesel's mouth.
I am the life you're too scared to live.
The both characters do almost the same thing, with the only difference in the form of flashing beacons. Fuck, I learned the term. It is now interrupting each other, the two voices sound which it seems were recorded by the same person. If someone didn't understand, why everyone doesn't understand me? Yes, and so in this game, as well as in Hot Pursuit, we have to play as racer, so for the police, which is done in much the same way as there, but bigger, better, cooler, and also with open world. Also there are problems in the game for the police, but I will talk about them a little later. In the meantime, I'll just remove the scene for a rare opportunity in games to play not only in the shoes of a racer but also in the shoes of a policeman. It is cool. And this, if someone didn't understand, fuck your mother, these are our tasks that need to be completed in order to move forward in a story. Yes, in this game it is absolutely not necessary to go through the races, most importantly fulfill the conditions and you are great. For Need for Speed game this is unusual approach and I like this kind of refreshment. And for completing a certain list of tasks they give you a bonus car, and it's a shame that whichever of these three tasks you choose, the prize car will be the same.
Your hideout is your garage and tuning shop all in one.
This game has a garage. Most Wanted 2012 could suck this game's dick. This garage is not torn apart into 2025 different garages, each of which takes 2025 hours to get to. Underground 2 could suck in this game. But the tuning in the game also, thank God, is appeared. It appeared in a rather primitive form. Both from the technical side and the visual side, you won't be able to generally decorate your car. And therefore, even though Most Wanted 2012 sucked in this game, Rivals will suck at Underground 2. Any event can be started even if the police are chasing us. On the one hand, this is convenient, you can start the race right during the chase without bothering with running away from the cops. But due to the fact that the police in the game are quite aggressive, as soon as you stop to start the race, with a huge degree of probability, at least one and at most 800 billion police cars, each of which will damage your car, and you will not be able to do anything at the same time, because you have the animation of the start of the race being played. And so I came to the race with full health and I started in a critical condition. Also this is logical, it was notably annoying at times. And yes, the hell of the car, this is another mechanic drawn from Hot Pursuit, about which I want to say a few words, because it boiled a little. The very possibility of destroying a car, which will cause the race to fail, is pretty cool, and the aggressive police itself is also pretty good, thanks to which the chase are played very spectacularly. But having combined these two things, the developers at the same time powered a highly flammable agent along with a lighter straight into my anal, which immediately begin to interact with each other at high levels of pursuit. When you have already accumulated 300,000 of these speed points, or when you are already 500 meters from the finish line and the policeman who appears from the void crashes into you. but at the same time it gives adrenaline to the game when you already have a little health and you are in hurry trying to somehow get to the nearest gas station and trying to dodge the police blows with all you might. Therefore, I don't even know whether to put a scene or remove it, and therefore I remove it. The police officers appearing from the void, by the way, this is not some kind of bug or rare occurrence. This is standard behavior of the local police. As soon as you broke away from the pursuit, drove somewhere around the corner away from the road, or just on the road, you calmly drive yourself without worrying about anything, when suddenly the dot appears right next to the map and sometimes does not appear at all, but the text on the screen said that the chase continues. Constantly. And since this game cannot be paused thanks to the fucking multiplayer, it will not work to break away from the game during the race or chase. It is possible to exit the game losing all the progress gained in the open world. And what in 2022 there is really no multiplayer in this game. At least in the PS4 version I didn't meet any player in the open world, so why not just disable it given the ability to pause the game. But even though the multiplayer of the game in our time is dead, before when it worked it was pretty good and fun. You could suddenly be attacked by a police player in open world, or you could meet a racer player passing by and start the race with him. In general, the game had a cool multiplayer for which the developers can be only praised. How fair from the point of view of the logic of the universe of this game is the beginning of the race when all your rivals are already driving at maximum speed in it and you just start off. I understand that the game will cheat a little and the opponents will culturally wait for me, but still, why not start the race together? But be that as it may, even though the opponents at the beginning wait until we get close to them, then they stop making concession to us and can always come out ahead. But closer to the finish line they will still slow down a little, so that the hero can epically get ahead at the very last moment. It look impressive, but still, why not find the fault? And right here we could talk about the races themselves. This game full of the Hot Pursuit and Most Wanted cannons, making the bulk of the races the most ordinary sprints. There is also a time trial, which is like sprint only without rivals, avoiding the police, and the Hot Pursuit race, which is a regular race only with the police. Also, the police can join the usual sprint, they still decided to separate these two modes for some reason. And actually, these are all modes in the game. This time even the drift was not delivered. And you can win this race itself by destroying all your rivals, which is cool in terms of gameplay, but I'm sitting here in order to fuck up to a sucked finger, and therefore, with the point of view of in-game logic, it's somehow not very fair in relation to other rivals, who seem to measure their skill on the road, and not how successfully you use your weapon. But this is probably already too much nitpicking, but don't give a shit, since you fucked up means fucked up. Already according to the classics of the genre, real workers have additionally learned to become an auto mechanics, who can replace all parts of the car at the speed of light and replenish all spent ammunition. And the police, seeing that they help criminals in committing crimes, do nothing about it, so they also use their services. By the way, yes, weapons on the vehicles, just like in Hot Pursuit, are a very convenient and useful thing during the chase, thanks to which these very chases and competitions look much more epic than they would be without them. Again, Most Wanted suck this game's dick for cutting out such cool feature. How many scenes have I not delivered to Most Wanted? Hey. The long unskippable crashes that I loved so much in Most Wanted did not go away in this game. But also I did not compare, they feel in this game do not last as long as there. But this does not take away the fact that endlessly after each hit, and if at very high speed, then just touching the car against the wall, this animation do not stop infuriating. You have a car with limited health, was that not enough for you? But for some reason I am not so angry with it.
If you get busted, you will lose your speed points and your multiplier.
And that's all I lose when I get arrested. Despite the fact that street racers are almost the most dangerous criminals of the city, through whose fault many civilians drivers died, no one will confiscate their cars and put them in jail. The minimap is especially helpful when they materialize from empty space. The police can start chasing us, by the way, even if we don't speed up, but even just when we stand still in a newly purchased cars. Somehow they instantly realize that this particular car is an illegal racer. And yes, the developers thing got sent to hell, that idiotic system for finding cars on the streets, and returned the usual system for everyone to gradually open more and more cool cars, which you also need to buy in this game for a racer, and therefore from speed points appeared at least some sense. It's time to talk a little about the graphics of the game. Frostbite would not be Frostbite if it did not know how to make an insanely beautiful picture, from which in 2013, even on third PlayStation, my eyes radiated rainbow ejaculation. Everything looks great, from the environment and cars to all kinds of garbage and leaves flying along the road. And it's only been 1 year since Most Wanted, and how much prettier the game has started to look. Even the color scheme changes depending on the terrain you drive. It's amazing. The same can be said about the sound effects of everything else. Along with the eyes, a couple of sperm balls flew out of my ears too. And even though it's Frostbite, surprisingly the controls of the car are pretty well done, and now they don't feel as dummies as they did in the run. Apparently the engine was shoveled well, so it began to give out normal physics of car. And all these graphics for the fourth PlayStation seems so cool and advanced that it could not give out anything more than 30 frames per second, which is not very good in a fast and dynamic game.
You can use the map or easy drive in the top left of the screen to set a route directly to the nearest hideout, repair shop, any event, or other player.
You are correct, understood. Hello, Underground 2, you need to get to each race, shelter and gas station on your own. No fast travel at all. Even before those races that I have already passed, it is impossible to move, not counting the restart button. Fast travel is available only when you are in the menu and choose a place where to spawn, and that's it. At the location itself, please move on your 4 rubberized limbs. Getting into the eyes of the police 20 times is suddenly the race you need is far from your current location. It pains me to say this, but the Most Wanted 2012 did something better than another Need for Speed. Funny. But the restart button in this game is a rather strange thing. When you press it, you move to the start of the race, but your health and weapons are not restored, and therefore you either start the race on already killed car, or after fast travel you drive more to the nearest gas station to repair the car, and only then return to start the race. Connecting to servers, please wait while we connect you to the server where we found at least some number of people, which after some time will stop playing, thanks to which we will be kicked out of game sessions, we will lose all the speed points we have earned, and wait a few minutes until we are connected to a new one. If you run into spikes and pierce even the wheels, you can safely continue to move the car, and after a while they will inflate themselves back. It's very convenient, and because of this, these endless spikes are not so annoying, but still that's not how spikes work in real life. And since this game is definitely something that wants to be like a real life scene, I add, what the hell I am talking about right now? I didn't press anything anywhere, but the subtitles suddenly decided they needed to turn off. From time to time tasks will come across that the hell knows what they mean, which I managed to complete purely randomly, and it didn't work out randomly, then I had to go to YouTube and see what it was this used slam or rare ram and how they should be done in general. A small description or a small video would be a great touch. As it already customary in the modern parts of Need for Speed, the music in this game is some kind of nondescript background that is not remembered in any way. In the whole game I found only one song that I somehow remembered and liked, but still cannot be compared with any song from other parts. Either the game has such an unusual visual style, or it just broke. Just like in Most Wanted, in this game the dispatcher will not able to say which car I am driving and what color it is. Apparently this is too advanced technology that Black Box took with them into grave. A stupid game cannot understand that I need to be there below, and therefore after each break it warns me back to the top. Bitch.
Officer John McManus at Redview County Hospital, where he is receiving treatment for injuries sustained in the line of duty.
Duty.
According to a police spokesman, law enforcement will not stop until those responsible are brought to justice.
A lot of money, effort, and even the lives of the employers to stop these rampant street racers who terrorize this poor town, but it never even occurred to them to put speed bumps on the roads or just stop repairing the road, and now suddenly the racers, it will become very difficult to drive at high speed. Basically this nitpick could fill any game about illegal racing, but still I'm fucking with this here because fuck off. The editor especially decided not to bother with gleaning different scenes, and therefore stupidly removed the Adobe Premiere interface in which he edited this glean.
But ours was further.
They say we endanger the public, but they are the ones who aren't in control. But they don't want the truth. They want revenge for a crime that was never committed.
Great! The poor racers began to complain about the evil police officers who do not allow them to break the law and also say that they did not commit any crimes. And they began to act as a victim for which we need to worry because lowering your speed at 60 km per hour so that the police stop chasing you and you stop threatening lives of hundreds of people on the road is of course impossible. At some point in the career we need to perform a certain action no matter what list of tasks I would choose, so what the point is this choice at all? The police began to accuse of exceeding their powers and using too cruel methods of arresting street racers, as a result of which FBI officers came to replace them, who in the game will behave in exactly the same way as the police. Therefore, what was the meaning of removal the police if everything remained as it was is not clear.
Now we have a new enemy.
You have absolutely the same enemy, the cars have slightly improved and the name has changed, no more. And when I go out on the road in the future, for some reason I will be met again a police car, which, based on a video just shown, should not be in the city. Because of these wonderful trampolines, the veins of my forehead will burst soon. Now we were given the task to crash the car of any racer, just like that. Not even in competition, but just by a passerby. That's how closely the racers fight against the policemen who infringed on them. So well coordinated that the police in principle do not need to do anything. They can easily kill each other themselves after a while. This time the spikes stopped cheating only on our cars and now they can easily pierce the tires of both our rivals and the police cars. Most wanted, go to hell.
The feds were sent in to make the streets safer, but they have only made them more dangerous.
Really?
Their leader goes by the handle Fate.
How old is this leader and why does his name look like the nickname of a ninth grader with a development delay, so a pierce of the name of the 8 Fast and the Furious? Even the authors of subtitles sometimes ashamed to write such a dumb pseudonym and they just wrote it in a word. Who the hell puts a roadblock on side of this road, leaving the entire roadway free to drive through? The same applies to the storms. What the fuck is the point? Fucking unkillable tree. Thanks to the game for deciding to respawn me on the move a few meters from the edge of the abyss. Fuck, how useful. Now I have to task to do jumps with a total distance of 732 meters. So I jumped and this cunt did not like something. Oh, and his pendant is fucked. Exactly, how could I forget about it? I have only one question now. Why, and most importantly, why the fuck put railroad crossing barriers on the road in a place where there is no railroad crossing? Cap Fate, after his suspension from service, went all out and got into a racer car to infuriate a gang of racers and fuck their cars, which logical, okay. But the racers, in response to this, steal the police car, on which they also began to fuck other policemen, which is exactly the same as what they do in regular cars. You have nothing else to do?
I will bring chaos to their world.
By crashing 3 cars. Fuck, of course, chaos will begin. And somehow in a police car I have the opportunity to arrange races with other racers who don't give a shit about the fact that I'm in a police car.
This is bigger than racing now. We're sending a message, and people are listening.
Am I the only one who gets the feeling that even Michael Bay would squeal with so much pointless pathos? What is this impenetrable fence made of? Obviously not from the shit from which the car that crashes against him was made. Somebody broke a transparent background for pictures. Sometimes there are times when physics decided that it doesn't give a shit about the laws of physics and anonymously pronounces all this law in one voice. Turning on the aiming on the EMP cannon as soon as it catches on the car, it won't be able to switch to another, and therefore, if like here I accidentally aim at wrong person, I successfully fucked with them or even just passing by, because in one of your tasks you have to smash the car of another racer. We believe you, but stay away from us, crazy man.
In the video, he has posted a map where racers and cops can settle their rivalry once and for all.
Continue their rivalry as if this race never happened. And what do you mean once and for all? Like, is this some of kind outcome of this competition after which the police says, okay, I'm convinced you can safely break the law, we will not touch you anymore. or how it's supposed to work. This final race, by the way, fucking shit. Of course, I understand everything, but spend 2 hours of real time of finally getting through the fucking long race, during which you will definitely, if you accidentally miss at least one gas station, your health will go to 0, the race will fail, and you will have to go through it all over again. And it itself is fucking long. And besides the fact that it is long, I have no complaints. It is big, cool and epic. The end of the career is very cool, well done in this regard. But this health of the car, why was it necessary to screw it into the game? But seriously, it was impossible to do without it. At the end of the race, my finger curled on the right trigger. Seriously, why?
While law enforcement is billing this as a declaration of war by the racing community.
Fucking declaration of war. The racers have declared war on you. Damn it, drive tanks to meet them once in a while, gone. Racing caterpillars and nitro socks you down in a barrel and draw. And we will not see it, because the game does not know what car I could drive, and the copyright holders are unlikely to like if their car was broken on the screen. So the racing campaign has been successfully completed, and therefore with a free soul and a full stomach you can switch to company for a policeman, which is much shorter and much easier than racing campaign, by one simple reason. As you may guess, in the police campaign there will never be any persecution behind us. That is, no one will ram us, try to knock us off the road and prevent us from entering the shelter when you have already completed all the tests. And unfortunately no alternative to this was given to the police campaign, and therefore it does not feel as driving, and you do not get as much buzz and adrenaline from it as from the racer campaign. But this does not mean that it is bad, it's just worse than a racing career.
This is one of many RCPD mobile command posts spread throughout the county.
Чё вы сказали, девушка? Мне сейчас предстоит играть за сотрудника Raccoon City Police Department? What did you say, girl? I am going to play as an employee of the Raccoon City Police Department now? As it turns out, it is now one universe. Okay. One of the modes in the game for the police is a race against the clock to the scene of crime, or the person who called the police, or to the policeman who called the backup. But that's just none of that. I arrive at the finish line, I don't see a crowd of policemen on a crime, just the race ends like most ordinary time trial for a racer. What did the main character react to? What was prevented you from stealing this cutscene from Hot Pursuit? And in this race against the clock, for hitting the walls you get penalty points, and if the punishment for hitting the drivers is logical and correct, the scratching the wall is what way will cause damage to the state and why the police officer is punished for this. If in the end, after a chase with some kind of racer, the car will still be smashed into the trash and the gas station will be repaired for free. I am even afraid to imagine how rich people in the state must be, so that the extent of their taxes, the police can afford to give the patrolman more and more fancy car. And the police department gives us a car for free, but please install weapons on it for your money. We blew the entire budget for expensive cars, which you endlessly break. Come on, stop putting this advertising Marusia in your games. This car is full of shit, I understand. Even if I have 2000 hryvnias, I would not buy it. Leave me alone.
It's caused thousands of dollars in property damage.
Do you know what could cut your costs? Fucking speed bumps! Now our task is to patrol the streets. In other words, we need to just drive 16 kilometers. I understand that in reality patrolling works exactly the same, but this does not exclude the fact that I have to drive 16 kilometers stupidly. And throughout the whole game, no one will thought to confiscate any of my cars. And despite the fact that the hero is now a secret from all racers in the car, he smash racers, other policemen will still somehow telepathically understand that the policeman is sitting in this car. And also, while I suspended from service, I can still do quick response missions. That is, while I am not in the service, they can tell me to urgently come on a call, and I fly to this call in a stolen racing car, and this will not bother other policemen at all.
Welcome to the nation's premier vehicle interdiction unit, the FBI Vehicle Response Team.
If this is the FBI, why does it say police on the car? Also, the flashing light at night look insanely beautiful. This does not negate the fact that after such a long time staring at the TV screen and watching this, my eyes began to take on a liquid form. At this point in time, we had the opportunity to call the helicopter for help, from which there was no use at all, from the couple of times when I called it. He flew a little, left the spike that went around everyone, made it so that I didn't fucking see what was happening in front of me, and flew away with a calm soul. Thank you, but I do not need such weapon. I don't know how nitrous oxide works in real life, but in the game, after a couple of seconds, a fire from the pipe, even though I continue to use nitro, nothing else will come out of it. I would like to praise a little an artificial intelligence of the racers, especially if they're not in the race and don't have to go on a certain road. They can brake hard, turn around and go in opposite direction to get away faster, or they can just fool me turning around, so I turn around and then continue to go in the original direction. They can ram me, use weapons. If I crash in a car, then he won't even think about waiting for me. That is, they are not just stupid dummies who only need to endure a health bar, but also make a little effort so as not to fuck him.
Tonight, I call on all racers to band together to protect our way of life from our true enemies.
Your lifestyle is flying at high speeds with the destruction of state property and the killing of peaceful drivers who caught on the road. Why are you making yourself a victim? So the time has come for the final chase in a police career, and compared to the 2-hour race from the last final, I completed this final race in 3 minutes. Here is such different balance of difficulty in different careers. The protagonist of the policeman is on the verge of death after accident with the Zephyr. Meanwhile, an accident with Zephyr. Yeah, you really fucking survive after this. And without which you definitely won't be able to survive, it's without subscribing to the channel, like, repost and comment this video.